Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. And the topic for this week is presets. Do you use presets? Let me show you how they work. So first of all, I would need to select a shape, and I just drew a few kind of rectangles and an ellipse so that I could select one of them. And a preset will be found by right-clicking on one of the different styles of embroidery. And so if I come down, for example, and right-click on top of the run stitch, notice that I have a few options. Now, I probably have options that you don't, but we will all have the backstitch option. And so the backstitch is an example of a preset. It's a special setting that has been saved, and it makes a little bit thicker line. It's kind of like a backstitch in that it goes forward and back, and then forward, forward and back, forward, forward, back. But it also gets a little bit of a width, so when it steps kind of back, it takes a little step kind of to the side, forward, forward, back and to the side, and it makes a little bit of a thickness. And so we all have the preset for this kind of stitch. But let's just say that you had a favorite of your own. Maybe you really like the bean stitch, and so when you convert this into a run stitch, then you need to use the properties box to come over to the run extra tab and change it to be a bean stitch. And maybe you really like a 5-ply bean stitch, and you really like your 5-ply bean stitch to be a little bit longer than the normal length of 2.5, and so you're making yours 3.5. And so I can click apply, and I've created my own style of backstitch. Well, if you want to reuse that again and you want to have it, for example, on the ellipse here, you'll have to repeat all those steps to create the same settings. But the cool thing is we could create it as a preset. So notice that I still have my selection that is the 3.5 millimeter long bean stitch with 5 plies. And so when I have that selected, if I right click over top of the tool that it came from, so the run stitch tool, notice that there's an option to save this as a preset. And so I'll click save preset and give it a name. How about 3.5 5-ply bean stitch. So that tells me what it is. It's a 3.5 millimeter long 5-ply bean stitch. Say OK. So that tells me that I saved a preset. And notice now if I click away to select nothing, and I select that little circle and come down and right click over top of the run stitch, there's now an option for a 3.5 millimeter 5-ply bean stitch. And so if I select that, I know that both of those two shapes have the same 5-ply bean stitch. If you want to make everything the same, we can select the first one that had the back stitch and right click and give it the same bean stitch effect. And so this is a way that you can save your favorite settings. For example, if I create this fill and I convert it into a motif fill, and so there's a special pattern, and maybe there's a pattern that's your favorite and you select it, and maybe you like to mix patterns together, and so you choose a second pattern and you mix that one with the first one, and now it's just like perfect, except for maybe it's a little bit too big, and so you come in and change the size or the stitch length, and so let's just go with a slightly smaller size so we get kind of more of the effect going on. And if you love it and you're like, I'm going to use that again and again, then you would come down to the Motif Fill option and right click. And you can see I've got quite a few in this list, and you probably don't have any. But once you make one, you can choose Save Preset, and so we'll call this, I don't know, today. And then click OK. Already had one with that name, so we'll go ahead and replace it to the newest one that's called Today. But now the idea is I can quickly select any shape, right click over top of that tool, and find the Today preset, and it'll match the one that I've already made. And so just know that when you select a shape, if you left click, you get the default settings, which is whatever came, pre-installed by the software. Apparently it's motif number 242. But if there's something that you always use, just know that you can right click and choose to either save a preset. You also have the ability to remove presets. And so maybe you've made one that you don't want anymore. You can choose remove preset. It'll allow you to scroll through the list of all of the ones that were made for that tool. And so if I no longer want the one that's called today, I can select it and say okay and get rid of it. And so now I'm cleaning up, the extra presets that I made and don't really need. So that is a cool thing. One last thing about presets that you probably want to know, and that is perhaps you're a teacher or just have a lot of friends that also use the Floriani software. Well, if you create presets that you love, you can use the Tools drop-down menu where you've got an option to export presets. And so when you choose that option, it will bring you all of your different presets, all of your satin, your standard fill, your motif fill. There'll be run line options. And so essentially, any preset that you've created for any of your tools could be selected and then exported to, so if you highlight them, that will select them. You can click here to basically select all of them if you want to select them all, or here to deselect them all. But if you just wanted to send, one specific one to your friend or to a class, you simply select it and then click export, and it creates a file, and it will save it into your basically into your program data under thread charts, and you can then save those to be wherever you want them to go, and share them to your friends. Maybe email them or put them on a memory stick. In fact, when I click export, I could decide right now, where do I want to save this? Where is it going to be easy to find? Maybe on my desktop, or maybe directly onto a USB stick to take to class. And so I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you create some presets. Until next time, have a great day, and bye for now.